Okay. A very good evening to everyone, and welcome to the University of Manchester Information Session. My name is Josen, and I'm the Senior Program Counselor from the Middle East Center, bringing you another Manchester Best. Tonight, we will talk about the professional development courses with our special guest, Kieran McCourt. Yeah, he will be helping us to better understand what is the program all about and how could this be beneficial in your decision embarking towards your educational journey through the short business courses. We would love this to be as interactive as possible, so please don't hesitate to ask questions right after Kiran's presentation. Now, before we begin, let me first introduce to you the City of Manchester, the great university, and of course, the Middle East Center. Let me tell you a few important facts. In the UK, primarily in Manchester, is the third biggest city in the UK. Manchester has a rich industrial heritage. This is where the first atom was split and the first computer was built. It's also the birthplace of industrial revolution, and as such, Manchester has changed the world in many ways, from music, science, and in the industry. We're also known for the pancreas and the home of the suffragettes movement, allowing women to vote in public election for the very first time. Also in Manchester, if you are a football club, I'm sure you would know the Manchester City and the Manchester United. These are the two football clubs, very famous champions, I would say, in the recent championship matches here in the football field. And fun facts, but true story. Do you know that the famous Midland Hotel, located in Manchester, is where the birthplace of Rolls-Royce, where Rolls, the car salesman, and Royce, the engineer, met at the Midland Hotel in the central Manchester in 1904. That's where they decided to found their automotive company known as Rolls-Royce. Some important facts there. Committed to world-class research and outstanding learning and student experience and social responsibility, the University of Manchester is the UK's largest single-site university. The University of Manchester has a rich academic history. We are home of the 25 Nobel Prize winners from 1906 till 2010, awards given to physics, chemistry, economic sciences, and medicine. Currently ranked 6th in the UK, 8th in Europe, and 38th globally by QS World Rankings. In Financial Times 2023, we're ranked 5th in the UK, 13th in Europe, and 46th globally. Our program, primarily the MBA, is triple accredited with AMBA, ACSB, and EQUIS. And as of today, only 110 business schools in 36 countries has the Triple Crown accreditation, and that's only 1% of all the business schools in the world. The AMBA accreditation, or the Association of MBA, certifies the overall quality of the MBA program, including faculty and facilities. The accreditation assures students that the business school adheres to high quality standards. ACSB and EQUIS include quality benchmarks for the school as well. Award-winning in social and environmental impact, we're the only university consistently ranked in the top 10 in the Times Higher Education Impact Rankings. The University of Manchester named number 1 in the UK, number 1 in Europe, and 2nd in the world for social and environmental impact. The Times Higher Education World University Rankings 2023 include 1,799 universities across 104 countries and regions, making them the largest and most diverse university rankings to date. These rankings make us one of the best in the country as well as the continent for student engagement and post-study outcomes. Now, here in the Middle East Center, we're open in Dubai Knowledge Parks in 2006, celebrating our 18th year anniversary with about 105 different nationalities and over 2,000 MBA graduates today. The school also has a regional community of around 3,000 plus alumni and actively works to create professional networking opportunities to help enrich the wider business community. It is the largest and fastest growing center in the University of Manchester Alliance Manchester Business School International Network. You can also see there in the slide that we have centers across the globe, including, of course, Dubai, Shanghai in China, Hong Kong, Singapore, and of course, the main center in Manchester. We're currently offering programs in MSc in Financial Management and Masters in Educational Leadership and Practice that takes place every September of every year. And our topic, and of course, the Global MBA program and the Executive MBA, and of course, today's main topic, the Executive Education that, of course, Kiran will help us later on. Okay, just want to show you some overview here. What's going to happen today, ladies and gentlemen? As I mentioned earlier, a little bit introduction of the University of Manchester, the short business courses that you get to understand later on from, of course, from Kiran, and of course some Q&A as well. And we wrap up with some information on how to join the program. All right, now it's about time to introduce to you our guests for today. He is qualified executive coach and the head of client relations at Alliance Manchester Business School, the University of Manchester, with extensive experience in strategic partnership, development, and client engagement. Kiran has been pivotal in enhancing the school's reputation and fostering strong corporate relationships. Kiran has worked with and for large international organizations and smaller family-owned business, both in the UK and internationally. These diverse experiences across sectors such as construction, retail, manufacturing, distribution, and engineering have shaped his approach to helping organizations develop their people. He values the unique challenges and opportunities in each client brings, learning from them as much as he contributes to their growth. Driven by curiosity and a passion for variety, Kiran excels in designing and delivering training, coaching, and mentoring, consulting for sales and marketing, and speaking at conferences. He believes that the great leader and managers are made, not born, and is committed to sharing ideas and making a practical difference in the world of executive education. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome AMBS Executive Director, Client Relations, Kiran McCourt. Kiran, good afternoon or good evening right now.
Good evening. Thank you, Josen. And thank you to our friends and colleagues in the Dubai Center of the University of Manchester. And welcome this evening to our guests. I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes on a range of subjects, starting a little bit to look about this topic of professional development. And look at some trends that are happening in the marketplace, trends for individuals and organizations. Then I'm going to take a quick look at some of the courses that we have available for your professional development before deep diving into just 4 of them. There'll be some time at the end for some questions and answers, but as we're going through the slides today...
A picture of a white horse, and I'll use that, and I'll have to compromise.
I think we've got 1 or 2 people who need to put their microphones on mute. Thank you for that. I do appreciate that. It makes it easier for everybody else. If you do have any questions as I'm going through the material this evening, please pop them in the chat so we don't forget, and we'll come to them. And I think towards the end of this session, and Josen is going to help me with those questions. So, as we begin, let's take a quick look first of all at this topic of professional development. And I'm going to introduce the next slide where you should see just some research. What motivates people to look for professional development? Now, this research is taken from a study we did a few years ago on the reasons people have for engaging in executive education. So this is post qualification. This is people who are already in professions. And if you have a look there, the top 3 or 4 reasons are there. If you want to take a quick look about skills, it's either gaining new skills or improving the skills they already have. And these are all connected. I don't think they are quite separate categories, because if you look, people are saying they want to look for future opportunities for themselves and also to develop their careers. And hopefully, as you read through the different statistics there, hopefully you might recognize some of your reasons for either being on this call this evening or indeed for thinking about your own professional development. Now, if we move to the next slide, we should see this is an independently commissioned piece of research. So just if you look at the left, this is a table of the top reasons or the top areas that people think, professionals think they're going to undertake some development and learning in the next 5 years. Now, this is a sample of over 10,000 professionals conducted in over 40 countries. And the majority of them, are already in a career. They've been in career for a while. These are leaders and managers. Nearly 40% of them already have an undergraduate degree. And almost 26% of them already have an MSc or a master's or an MBA. Now, if you think about that carefully, these are people who are already qualified. They're already proficient in their jobs, but they're already considering that in the next 5 years, they're going to need to develop in these areas of leadership, business development, strategy, communication, and innovation. And as we progress through the slides and you consider some of the courses today, you'll be able to see how these relate to the topics that we've created. Looking at this slide, this now looks at the organization. So we've looked at individuals. What are individuals looking for from this professional development? What do organizations, their employers, look for? Well, this is again from the same survey, but this is now with 1,000 organizations in over 30 different countries, the reasons those organizations gave for why they were sending people on courses. So take a moment to have a look at that chart. So the most important one was to improve productivity and efficiency, but you can see things around AI, new technology. Again, it comes back to skill. It also is about retaining important and high value staff. So we've seen there just a quick snapshot. These are the reasons people have for wanting to develop themselves. And now we see the reasons why organizations want to develop their people. So let's move to the next slide now, and hopefully we can bring some of this together. So this slide, if you take a moment again to look at some of those topics, these should start to correspond to some of the categories we've looked at for individuals, but also fit with what organizations are looking for in the next 5 years. So managing the customer journey is one, finance for non-financial leaders, leading the psychology of leading people, leading digital transformation, blockchain and cryptocurrencies, digital marketing, navigating cyber risk, but also managing complex business challenges. There's quite a long list there. And if you are unsure or you're interested in more than one of these topics, I would thoroughly recommend you get in touch with the Dubai team, and they'll help guide you through which is the right course or courses for you. So this is just a snapshot of the 16 courses we offer. If we look at the structure, everyone's slightly different. But what they have in common is most of them will last about 4 days. They'll start on around a Tuesday and finish on a Friday. And during the course, you'll be exposed to maybe an introduction to some theories and some models. There'll be a chance to put those into practice, to apply them, and there's always a chance to reflect. So let's take a deep dive into the first 4. So managing the customer journey. Now, this is a really important program. If you think about the way buying behavior has changed, consumers now have more choice and more information than they ever have done before. But how do we help them navigate that choice? You know, it's said that actually winning new customers is between 4 to maybe 6 to even 8 times more expensive in terms of customer acquisition costs than it is to keep the ones that you have. So this is where we start to think about this topic called the customer journey. You know, how many customers are you keeping? This customer journey will look at the quality of the journey of customers through your organization, whether it could be health, it could be a service, it could be a product. And they'll also look at how well is that customer journey performing for you and your organization. So you'll start to look at things like buying behavior. What do they buy and how do they buy? Who are your customers? Then we'll look at things like consumer psychology. So we've looked at how they buy and what they buy. Now we'll consider why they buy. And understanding that behavior is really important. How many times does a client visit your website before they make a purchase? How many times do they return a purchase? All of those touch points are key data points for you to get more information about managing that customer journey. We'll look at loyalty management. If it's 6 to 8 times more expensive to get those new customers, then loyalty is important. Who are your loyal customers? So this is a chance to look at the behavior, the journey, and the data. Maybe some of your customers are more loyal than you think, and maybe some of your valued customers aren't as loyal as you think. This is a safe space over the 4 days to really dig deep into that, both in principle, what are the theories, but also in your organization, what's your customer journey? We'll look at predicting loyalty. which are the customers you want to repeat, who will be the repeat customers, and how can you maximize revenue from them? And ultimately, we look at how that customer journey maps into your sales strategy. So the journey becomes revenue generator for you. So you can actually report to the board in terms of where your customer retention strategy is going to make you money. A lot of the time, the emphasis is on new business development, whereas actually this course will help you identify who are the most valuable customers and how to keep them. And ultimately, what it's about is moving away from perhaps products and services to experiences. You may be familiar with something called a Net Promoter Score. This course will help you move away from something as basic and as rudimentary as just scoring out of 10, but more towards how you can inspire customers. And an inspired customer will be a loyal customer. So that's managing the customer journey. I can't do it the justice. It's a 4-day program. As I said, each program will start on a Tuesday and finish on a Friday. During that, you'll have a welcome reception on the first day, on the Tuesday evening. It lasts from 9 to 5. You get a break at lunchtime. There'll also be opportunities for you to network with other individuals on the course and other courses. There will be a networking dinner on the penultimate night, the Thursday evening. So moving on to the next deep dive, now we're going to look at leading major projects. So we looked at managing a customer's journey. Now we're looking at leading major projects. And this course does exactly what it says it does. It's not just about project management, it's about project leadership. So this course focuses on you, the individual, as a leader. Projects are usually managed by people who have other jobs. They might be the head of IT, they might be the CEO, they might be the CFO, they might be the COO. And normally they have the responsibility of leading a project. So this program will start with a psychometric based on your leadership style just for leading and managing projects. Because actually, the vast majority of projects have problems. If you think for a moment, how many projects are you aware of that finished on time and on budget? A lot of the different research out there suggests it could be less than 10% of projects finish on time and on budget and to the way that they're expected. So it takes this complex thing about project management and starts to turn it into project leadership and project organization. You'll be introduced to this concept called the 3 domains. That looks at the different kinds of organizations, be it owner organizations, these people who commission the project, suppliers who are there to quote for the project, and also delivery, how the project gets delivered. But it also looks at the interfaces between the project itself, the supplier, and the owner. And it looks at things like governance. It looks at things like the commercial aspects, also the resources. So it will actually give you a model that you can test on a real world case study and your organization. We'll look at something called strategic project organizing. So this is actually the skill and the theory of leading a project and organizing that project. But also notice the word strategic. So rather than treat this as a dealing with this project and this project and this project as separate items, this program will help you combine those and look at managing projects and leading projects as a way of strategic transformation. Most projects are there to deliver some sort of strategy for your organization. So this program will help inform you as to how to bring that about as the project, not as a discrete element with a beginning, a middle, and an end, but how does it build into something that's more transformative? And the final part of the program will finish with looking at the future of project leadership. How do you invest in this project to make it more sustainable? You know, a lot of resources get invested, a lot of time, a lot of energy. Projects need to be more sustainable over the long term. So it's not a program. If you're a project manager and you've got a project manager qualification, this isn't that sort of program. It's not going to give you a qualification in project management. What it's going to give you is insight, knowledge, and skills into project leadership. So if you're responsible for leading projects, organizing them, this is a great course to consider. Moving on to our third deep dive on courses this evening, we're going to now look at the next short course, which is Data and AI for Leaders. Now, again, let's just calm a few fears. You're not going to become a data scientist. We're not going to expect you to become a programmer. You're not going to sit there and be crunching loads and loads of numbers. What this is designed is to help you kind of learn the language and join the conversation of data and AI. Everybody knows this is coming towards us very rapidly. Very few organizations are equipped to deal with it in the right way. So again, this is a course designed for leaders and managers who may be managing teams, who need to manage data and AI, or are thinking about using AI to automate or to inform parts of their decision making. Could be manufacturing, could be sales and marketing, could be finance and resource plan. So what's this program going to do? Well, really, it starts with the basics. It looks at basic data literacy. You know, there's a lot of fear around this subject, and there can be barriers to understanding what people are talking about. So the program will begin looking at what are the different forms of data, what's the difference between AI and, say, machine learning, and give you a really concrete understanding of what is and isn't within the scope of this topic. We'll also introduce some models, some common models for data and AI. We'll then look at some of the flaws and bias. What's the limitations of data? Data isn't always benign. You know, data comes with a whole set of judgments. The person who captured the data, the person who designed the algorithm, the way the data is interpreted, you need to look and consider to the flaws. So the idea is to understand what story is this data telling you, or how can you make a story out of what the data is telling you? We'll then look at things like predictability. Is this data reliable? How much can we use this to inform our predictive powers of what's going to happen in future? A lot of data models will help you take historical data and model it forward to give you ideas of what might be happening in the future. So we'll look at the predictability and the reliability of that data. We'll also look at ethics. Ethics in the way the data is built, captured, reported, and actioned upon. Again, it introduces this element. If you remember back to the beginning of Josen's slide, the university has a legacy in environmental and global impact. We've always been in the top 10. So ethics is a very important topic to the university, and you'll learn from experts, professors in the field, who talk about the ethics of using data and the ethics within and embedded in the data. So finally, by the end of this program, what you're going to take away from this is how you can use data, AI, and data science to help you make decisions. So it's a very practical program. You know you're going to have to make decisions. Most leadership and management is about making decisions. So this will really equip you to join that conversation about data and artificial intelligence, and to be able to ask the right questions and to think critically about the data that those models and those tools are presenting you with, so that you can make better quality decisions. Again, for each slide, if you look at the bottom, you can see when the cohorts are running. Normally, it's about twice a year. And again, this will follow a very similar format. On the first day, on a Tuesday, you'll be introduced to some theories and some models. The next day, you'll be looking at maybe some of the models in more detail. And then perhaps the third day, some of the tensions and challenges to enable you to think critically about what you're seeing. And then usually day 4 is about application and reflection. So finally, we're going to move on to the last of our deep dives, and that is market-focused strategic planning. Again, this is very different from the other 3. So if you have responsibility for strategy, or you lead a team who have responsibility for managing and implementing strategy, then this is a course worth considering. This course takes you day by day, step by step, through to a plan of how you can develop a strategy for your organization. So a lot of the time, people will look at a business school or a university and think it's all theoretical. What all of these courses have in common is this is about the application of that theory through knowledge and skills into the real world. So this course will start by looking at value. You know, where is the value for your organization? And that could be value for your shareholders, but it can also be value for your stakeholders. What is your value? What's the most valuable markets for you to enter, segments for you to enter? Who are your most valuable customers? Then it'll look and take a very deep dive at your competition. No organization operates in a vacuum, and very few operate in a monopoly. There's always an alternative. In understanding those alternatives, your competitors, you'll probably be able to build a far more robust strategy for your organization that can compete in a more and more increasingly competitive environment. We'll look at customer centricity. What does that mean? What's really important to your customers? You have your value and your value proposition. You get the opportunity to test this in a safe environment, in a business school, to understand other things you think your customers value, really what they value, And what are the things actually that you didn't realize your customers love, but perhaps you take for granted? So we'll look at positioning. How do you turn your benefits, your advantages, the things that make you different from the competition, and turn them into propositions that are compelling for the most profitable audience that you have? And then finally, we'll look at the differentiated advantage. What does that mean? How, having done all this work, how do you protect your market share? How do you keep the share that you've won? So this is a very practical course. It's a, as I said, it's a very safe space for you to come and test out different forms of strategy, go through a step-by-step, day by day, starting with your organization, looking at competition, looking at your clients, and then coming up with your value proposition that you can then defend against competition. It's very straightforward. By the end of the day, by Friday, you should leave with a plan that you can implement the following Sunday or Monday in your organization. Again, we've got cohorts running in December and in May. And again, it follows, there's a very similar format. There'll be perhaps some pre-work for you to read, something to watch, or something for you to do. We're not asking you to read chapters and chapters, but it may be something that will help you get more from the program. Program starts on a Tuesday, finishes on a Friday. It's hosted in our beautiful Executive Education Center, which is a bespoke, purpose-built building that was opened in about 2019 and is attached to the Hyatt Hotel. So actually getting to Manchester isn't a problem, and staying in Manchester isn't a problem. And our teams in Manchester and in Dubai can help you with any visa arrangements, but also things like hotel arrangements. So that's it for those 4 courses. What I want to do now is just take a quick look at the benefits. Well, if you remember back from the beginning of the slides this evening, if you think of what are the things that people said they wanted to get from professional development and from executive education, it was around skills, it was around knowledge, it was about career. Well, in all of these courses, what unites them is that you will always get knowledge. This is a university. You will always get skills, practical tools you can apply. Network, you'll be in the company of other professionals at a very reputable, high-ranked university. So you learn as much from the people on the course as you do from the academics teaching the course. Hopefully it'll benefit your career, and that seems to be a key reason for a lot of people, even those people who already have an MBA. Perhaps you're coming back to upskill those skills or refresh those skills. And if you don't have an MBA, this can be a very cost-effective way to start taking a dip a toe into the professional development market with very little risk. Our university has been around for 200 years, and it's a very reputable institution, and we'd love to welcome you here to Manchester. You'll also, for any of these 4 courses, you'll finish with a certificate. This is a certificate, and I think Josen will show you an example of that later in the presentation, that you can take home, that you can put on the wall, but also you'll get a digital badge. So if you're looking to further your profile on different platforms, professional platforms, LinkedIn, for example, it's a nice way to display your credentials. One final thing, of those 16 courses, if you complete 4 of them within 4 years, you can actually qualify for a professional diploma. So that's those 4 certificates, and additional, you get a 5th certificate, your diploma. And that diploma can be a pathway of your choice. We can't let you take the same course more than once. That wouldn't be very cost effective for you anyway. But if you choose 4 different courses over the course of the 4 years, and there's very different combinations, you pick your pathway, you will qualify for the professional diploma. So I've talked a lot for the last sort of 20-25 minutes. Now it should be time for, well, before I go on to questions, there is one thing that I want to talk about, and that is Manchester. Josen gave us a very quick view of what it is that about Manchester, the city, what makes it different. We are a different place. We're a place where revolutions happen. We're a place where disruption happens and change happens and innovation. But we have a motto at the business school, and it's a very simple one. It's original thinking applied. So even though you look at those courses and they're all slightly different and they all deliver different things, what unites them is our common thread, which is original thinking applied. And to explain that, original, we're working in an environment that is rigorous for academic research. So you'll be exposed to the theories and ideas of award-winning professors and lecturers, people who have spent time in industry as well. Some of them purely academic through research, some of them academic practitioners, people who have worked with big organizations. For example, the professor that leads on leading major projects, has done a lot with the utility sector, oil and gas, energy, renewables, infrastructure. For example, the professor that leads on managing the customer journey, he's worked a lot with grocery and retail throughout the world, and has pioneered a new form of satisfaction survey that goes beyond Net Promoter Score. So it's always going to be original research. The second thing, these courses are designed to be challenging. They're not something that you would arrive and just sit in the background. They are designed for you to engage with. They're designed to promote critical thinking. The difference between sort of getting from where one is in one career to the next step is often the quality of our thinking. So if nothing else, you can come to the University of Manchester, and for 4 days, you have a dedicated space to develop your critical thinking. And the final thing is, it's about the application. Knowledge is nothing without application. So you'll be encouraged to test your knowledge and your critical thinking on real-world examples, case studies from around the world, and also your own organization, so that when you leave on the Friday or the Saturday and you return to your organization, something is different, and that thing that is different is you. So I've talked for some time now. I feel it's only fair to give some space to you. Thank you for listening to me for the last sort of 25, 30 minutes. Please, I invite Josen to help me with any of the questions that have arrived this evening.
We have a first question here, Kieran. Are the courses bundled in group as described on the presentation, or individual courses are available as well?
Okay, that's a great question, Ahmed. Thank you for the question. So you can take any of those 16 courses individually. You can just take it as a sealed unit. So if you want nothing more than just to become expert on digital marketing, you can come to Manchester, just do that course, and that's it. If you do more than one, they're not bundled together, but if you do more than one course, then there are some benefits. I mentioned the diploma, and also there would be some financial benefits because you're booking more than one course. So to answer your question, you can pick and choose as you want. Some people do more than 4, some people do just the one course, and you have those 4 years to complete any of those 4 courses for your diploma. But if you want a recommendation, if you're looking for developing your career, or you're making some sort of transition in your career, or you're thinking about stepping up to the next level, I would talk to colleagues like Josen and my fellow colleagues in Dubai, because they'll be able to advise you and ask you questions about your specific situation. So I feel, Ahmed, there's possibly a conversation to be had with our colleagues in Dubai to talk about what it is you're looking for, and maybe work together to try and guide you through which are the right courses. We don't work on commission at the University of Manchester. We are a charity by royal commission. Our job is to match you to the right course, right for you, right for the program, right for your organization. So hopefully that answers your question. If not, please feel free to fire another question in the chat.
Thank you for that, Ahmed. And like what Kieran said, I think if there's anything you wish to know more, we can help you with that later on. I'm sure you have provided your name and your details. Additional question here, Kieran, looking more into survival in the competitive market. Thanks for your reply.
Okay. Yeah, well, it is. I mean, look, everybody, remember that statistic from the beginning. We're talking about 10,000 professionals, 26% of them already have a master's, and yet we're all thinking, how can we add skills? How can we add new skills? The number of jobs that will be created in the next sort of 10 years that don't even exist today. It's our ability to learn and stay with skills that are relevant and appropriate. In the next 10 years, if you think back in 10 years, the skills you had, some of them change, leadership, management. These are important perennial skills, but being able to embed those in these specific topic areas. If you look at the names of the courses, almost every one includes something like leadership or management. We're a business school. We excel in leadership and management, just like you get on an MBA. What these courses will do is just a deep dive into one specific topic area. Okay, any other questions, Josen?
I have a direct message here. Is there a special discount for the alumni of the university? We will provide that to you later on, Noman. Rest assured, we can provide that details.
But
Question,
that's a great question. Sorry to interrupt you, Justin.
go
That's a
ahead, go
great
ahead.
question. And no, man, we love to welcome back alumni. We love to welcome them back. So if you're an alumni, it would be our pleasure to welcome you back to Manchester University.
Are the tuition fees similar for all courses, or can we get detailed schedule with courses, fees, and upcoming cohorts?
That's
there you go.
that's a great question. Yes, we can provide you with those schedules in terms of the upcoming courses. I think Josen's later on in the evening
Yes.
has some slides to talk to that, and also pricing as well. So I don't know. No, man, you're asking fantastic questions. You're asking
Good
all the right
questions.
questions.
Next one here. Who would be our classmates? What backgrounds?
That's a great question. Well, it does somewhat vary by course. So in the leading major projects, we get a lot of people who are dealing with major projects, so infrastructure, not necessarily somebody putting in an IT system for the first time, but no, people who are dealing with complexity, utilities, infrastructure, railway, transportation, large public sector organizations and large private sector organizations. But it varies from course to course. What I can say is the majority have got at least 5 years leadership and management experience. The majority are aged, I would say, between late 20s, early 30s to sort of maybe mid 50s. They're all professionals. They're all professionals. We see people, lawyers, we see architects, we see teachers, we see directors of operations, we see CEOs, we see people from the finance, we see people from health and safety, we see people from sales and marketing. What unites them is that they're all professionals and they're all seeking to improve their knowledge and skills and network. So you would be in a very like-minded, sort of similar classmates. And cohort size, it can vary. Some of the courses, depending on the time of year, can be quite intimate. We do quite small groups. I think the largest group size we could probably accommodate is about 30. That really maxes out because then that reduces the ratio between the number of delegates and the academics in the room. But in terms of backgrounds, yeah, they're all professionals. I'd say at least 5 years management experience, leadership experience. A lot of them have titles like director of, head of. They're part of the C-suite, some of them. Yeah, it's a good spread, but it's mainly professional people. If it's your first time in leadership and management, maybe some other courses wouldn't be appropriate. Psychology of leading people is probably better if you've got 5-6 years worth of experience. The reason being is we ask you to bring your experience into the classroom. Because you're learning from peers, if you don't have those sort of 3 to 5 years worth of professional experience, you have less material that you can share. So that, you know, if Josen and I were on a course together and I would say, Josen, what's your experience of dealing with change? Or how did you overcome that problem? You know, I'd want to hear from his experience. So I hope it doesn't feel like we're not being, kind of creating barriers for people, but you'll get more from the program if you've got at least, I'd say, 5 years experience. We get a good number of people who've already completed a qualification with the University of Manchester, many of whom have completed an MBA, and they're just coming back in just to keep fresh, just to keep sharp in a particular area. MBA is a fantastic product. If you have to do one thing, I'd do an MBA. What this is not an MBA, but it allows you to access some of the academics who teach on an MBA in a much smaller, bite-sized way. So you'll be getting the same quality that you might get as an MBA. Unfortunately, we can't give you the MBA. You've got to study for that. But if you're thinking about, do I do a short course? Do I do an MBA? Guess what? People like Josen and the team there in Dubai are the perfect people to advise you. So I hope that answered the question about classmates.
May I ask though, Karen, just a follow up on that? What
Sure.
is the class size we normally accept in the same week, of course?
On average, it varies with the time of year. Obviously, we have holiday periods. You know, people can't travel in the same way. It varies somewhere between 10 to maximum 30. I'd say the average has been around 20 people, which is a nice, intimate kind of class size. We're not looking to recruit hundreds of people and making it a very impersonal experience. You need to be able to connect with, speak to, and have time with an academic. If you're coming to a business school, you're coming not to see me, you're coming to see a professor. You're coming to see an expert in research and teaching. And we want you to have as much face time with them as possible. So yeah, we would cap the numbers maximum 30.
Okay. Cool. I have a direct question on
Sure.
my chat box. Anything in healthcare in the future? Any courses in
That's a
healthcare in the
great
future?
question. Yeah, I don't know if we've got people who've got sort of insider knowledge, but yes, we are looking at some healthcare leadership programs. We are taking our time. These courses were launched only last year, so we're actually the intention is for us to look at which of the courses we're getting different feedback from, but ultimately those 16 courses will evolve and change over the next sort of 2 to 3 years, where we'll introduce more courses, and some of them we may not run quite as often if the demand isn't there. But yeah, healthcare leadership, I'd be interested to know, is it a specific, is it a kind of is it general management in a healthcare setting, or are these medics who are looking for more leadership skills?
Well, in the Middle East primarily, we have a lot of them really involved into to medical field. They're healthcare
Okay.
professionals. Some of them are doctors in profession, Kiran,
Okay.
and we do have a lot who have really pursue an MBA for the purpose of management skills. But I think right now what they wanted to to inquire now is that how if it's a certificate healthcare, let's say on the
Hmm.
management field that can be used later on in their
Okay.
future. I think that's what they wanted to know.
No, that's a very good question. So yeah, we run a number of healthcare leadership projects and programs here in Manchester. It's an area that we excel in. Most of them are undergrad and postgrad. We do a lot with the teaching hospitals. I think our biggest teaching hospital employs about 40,000 people, and we're engaged with over 300 hospitals and healthcare providers in the UK. So what we haven't done yet, to answer your question directly, Jocelyn, is we haven't mapped what we do in some of the longer postgraduate and master's programs onto something that we could do in 4 days. So there's a piece of work for us to continue to do there. But I'm confident that, yeah, within the next
Okay.
year, we should have a program that we could bring
Looking
to the
forward for
market.
that.
Yeah.
So we have another question here from Noman. Are these professional development courses only conducted in Manchester, or is there any other centers for this as well?
That's a great question. So currently, we're delivering them in Manchester. That's where the academics sit. That is where the university is. We want to bring people out of the normal place of work and bring them somewhere, because it often changes your thinking. Being away from the office environment, the familiarity, it can actually change your way of thinking. So today, they're only available in Manchester. We are looking at different delivery options. And should there be sufficient demand, there is a case to be made for us coming and delivering more locally. But for now, it's Manchester. And for the reasons we said, there is the Emirates Stadium, there's Old Trafford. There's lots of things to see in Manchester that we
Oh
just
man,
can't always deliver locally. So yeah, for now, Manchester, and it's in person. It's a really good, while we're on that topic, just to clarify. So all of the courses come with a digital learning platform. So all of these courses are in person. We believe that the best way to bring around sort of transformational change is to put people into a different context. We want to meet you in person. We want to shake hands with you. We want to be with you over the 4 days. Having said that, you will have access about 2 weeks before to our online learning platform with all the materials there that you're going to cover in the 4 days. And you have access to them for 12 months afterwards. So once you come back from your course, if 6 months later you're thinking, what was that great tool for strategic planning, or what was that diagram for stakeholder management, or what was this particular touch points with the customer journey, you can go back. You'll still have access to your University of Manchester account. You'll still be able to go in and access the materials from 12 months on. Hope that makes sense.
I want to stress on that, Kieran, since you mentioned that. Do you think there's like a big difference in doing this on 100% online type of class against a face-to-face that we're doing now?
Yes, I do. You might think, well, I would say that, but if you can do things remotely, and I think it offers great flexibility and great convenience, and there's definitely a place for it. I think if you're investing in yourself and you're looking to bring new skills, why wouldn't you give yourself the best possible advantage? Why wouldn't you take yourself away from the day to day, the distractions?
Sure.
I mean, as we're all sitting here watching this, for some people, there'll be WhatsApp messages flying in and emails flying in. The one thing we can give ourselves for our own development is our attention. It's what we give our attention to. So yes, I would recommend coming to Manchester. You can't overhear a conversation at a coffee machine on WhatsApp. You can't just witness somebody else having a really interesting conversation about how they've dealt with the problem if you were not invited to that Zoom link or that Teams chat. I think as the world becomes more and more remote and we are challenged to manage people more remotely, I think what face-to-face gives us is a very rich, fully immersive experience. These are transformational courses, and I think it's much harder to achieve that when you're dipping in and out of a Teams call online, and maybe somebody's off making a cup of coffee, or somebody is off doing something else, or answering an email. Your attention's divided. So I think online courses are fantastic. They absolutely have a place. I'm a big fan. Learning at the point of need, if you want to do something, great. But if you want to transform your career, I would give yourself the investment of your own attention and your own presence somewhere where you're not going to be disturbed. You're not available to other people, but you're allowed to focus on yourself, your professional development, and your organization, away from all of that noise.
Yeah, I think that should be the case, right? And really learning the program itself. That's you really focus on it. Anyhow, thank you for those questions, Noman. Yeah, nice reasons to attend them in Manchester. Absolutely, Noman. You have an excuse to go to Manchester and watch football games, I guess, and study at the same time. Yeah. Let me just go to move forward to the other slides, Kieran, that maybe you can help us out. As we mentioned earlier, Kieran's explained to us 4 of those modules coming in. He mentioned about face-to-face delivery over 4 or 5 consecutive days, taken individually for 4 courses. It will become a diploma later on. But this is what I'm very curious about. Delegates receive a digital badge for each course that they complete. So if you can explain this to us, Kieran.
Sure. So at the end of the 4 days, you should receive your certificate. So there's a presentation ceremony at the end. Provided you've attended and you've done the required work, you will get your certificate from the University of Manchester. And I believe Jocelyn's got an image of that coming up in a minute. The digital badge, well, everybody's got a digital footprint. If you're looking at building your career, building your profile, if you've invested the money and the time to travel all the way to Manchester, it's nice to have something to take home and put on the wall, but it's also nice to have something that you can do in real time. So you'll be sent a link by us to have a digital badge. So this is something that would appear on your LinkedIn profile. You can display it with instructions as to how to load it up and how to show it on your profile. It is a link that's sent separately when you return. So it's a little kind of final thank you from us for attending. You'll get your certificate when you leave, or when you land, or when you arrive back home. You'll get this link for you to download your digital badge, along with instructions as how to display it on LinkedIn.
So the certificate, when they received it on the 4th or 5th day, Kieran, do they get it right away, right after they? Okay.
Yeah, the majority of people will get the physical certificate, unless you've made any other prior arrangements. But most people will get the certificate itself. It's probably about an A4 size, so it's a letter size. So yeah, we like to give people something like that on the last
for something
day,
tangible. Yeah. And you mentioned, Kieran, as well, that this badge, there's some sort of an instruction in how to do that later on when they.
Okay, so the
perfect.
link, the link gets sent to us from us to you, to the email that you provided. And if we have a look, and if you haven't accessed the link within a couple of days, we'll get in touch with you to make sure you understand how to open it. And if you had any problems, again, great question from Noman there. Anticipating everything, Noman. You need to come on this course. I need to meet you in person.
So for everybody's at least to be aware of, do those digital badges have an expiry? I have a digital badges of different organizations where I am either on the board of directors or chair of any committee. They expire after the tenure.
No, I'm not aware of any expire. I think that the link may expire, and if you have problems with that, we can issue you a new link to download the badge. But as far as I'm aware, the badge is with you. You've done the work. The badge is with you, not the organization. You must be proud, and the organization must be proud of your achievement, but the badge follows you. So it will go on your LinkedIn account. So, that's where you display it. So unless you choose to take it down, I don't believe it has any sort of expiry. It's not contingent on you working in the organization. This is in recognition of the work that you've done, the studying that you've completed with us.
True. True. So also we want to cover 3,990 pounds to 4,990 per course. Of course, depending on if it's a 4-course or 5-course program. Kieran mentioned a few of those a while back, and let me just show you some schedules happening for the upcoming quarter. As you can see there have some courses taking place in October, September. We also have December. You can scan the QR code for more information about it. Yep. Now, talking about discounts, since Snowman was interested about that too, let's move forward to that. Okay, here we go. So 20% for alumni of the University of Manchester. So Noman, I can see Noman there. I can see Tarek there. Some of the alumni are here too. Group discounts apply for more than one delegate being booked together by a corporate. We normally visit companies across the Middle East. We're tied up with them as a corporate partnership, which means if that's the case, as a strategic talent partnership, that gives you a 15% discount per course. Also, the early bird discount of 10% offered in full payment. However, this has to be, for example, you have upcoming October, you have to be booked by then in order for you to get the 10% discount. For more information, we have all your details. We will send you an email, or perhaps you can always let us know about your questions, and we would love to speak to you about that. Booking process, Kieran, just want to show it to them. Of course, visit the website or be in touch with the student advisors, current recruitment advisors like us. Fill out the registration form. We will contact you. And of course, the next to that is the booking and payment. No more complication whatsoever. It's very quick. I just have to make sure. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt you. I'd invite anybody here or anybody watching this recording, talk to the team. The team are amazing with a huge amount of experience. They're in the region. They're an extension of the University of Manchester. They are the University of Manchester. If you're thinking about this, perhaps this isn't the sort of course that people buy every day. So I would thoroughly recommend you speak to the team. They will advise you, they will guide you, and they will support you.
True. I just want to check on this couple of questions here, Kieran, very quickly.
Sure.
Hello, everyone. We will be having access to the university's online library resources, career passports, etc.
Okay, that's a really good question. So yeah, you have access through the learning portal to the library. So you will have access to that. I can't comment on the career passport. I don't think that comes with any of these courses. But yeah, you will have access through the learning portal, not only to all of the resources from the course, so that is slides, any reading lists, any reference material, any tools, any guides, any things to download. I think on a couple of them, I think like the leading major projects, you get the psychometric, so you'll be able to access that. And you get access through that portal to the library. I mean, you've got to click on a couple of buttons to get there, but yeah, that access is there.
Thank you. That's a very clever question. After completing a business course, will we be considered as an alumni of the university? You know why? Because when you complete one course, you become an alumni, and then you get a discount, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's a clever question, Kieran, if you can answer that, please.
Yeah, sure. So the University of Manchester has very strict rules about becoming a fully fledged alumni, and that is you've got to complete an award-bearing program. So that would be something like an MBA, an MSc, and then you're an alumni for life. You're with us for the rest of your career. So that's what I mean by award bearing. If your course ends where you put on a gown and you have a photograph with your family and a graduation event, that is an award bearing program. They're usually a couple of years. These short courses are different. So when you complete a short course, you would be eligible for some repeated discount, but you can't be considered a fully fledged alumni of a university. And that's pretty common across a lot of the universities in the world. Do an award-bearing program with a 2 or 3 year post-grad MSc, any of those sort of titles where you're coming out with an MSc, a master's in this, or anything like that. Postgraduate certificate, postgraduate diploma, anything of those, like, yeah, you'll be an alumni. When it comes to these short courses, because they're only 4 days, it's different. Yeah, you'll be a repeat customer, you'll attract a repeat discount, but we couldn't call you officially an alumni. So if you really want that alumni status and all of that kind of alumni career support, I would thoroughly recommend go the MBA route, even part-time. It's doable in a couple of years. You get to to study at different locations. If you really desire that fully MBA kind of alumni status, then fully commit, go for the big programs. These short courses, they're not you don't qualify as an alumni status, but you would get a repeat discount.
Okay. Good to know. A little compliment here from Noman. I endorse your statement about the team. They're wonderful and very knowledgeable, talented, and more importantly, very helpful. Thank you, Noman. Appreciate that, my friend. Okay, good. So, Kieran also mentioned the certificate. Kieran, some clarity here. This is what they're going to be receiving when they completed every course, right, Kieran?
Yeah, so you get your own individual certificate. It'll be presented by the academic lead for the program. It'll state your name, when you completed it, what course you completed, and that gets given to you to take away and to keep forever. And we do have a service if in the future you're quoting that you've completed a certain program and your future employer needs proof and you've lost your certificate, you can always get back in touch with the university, and we will send you confirmation that you've achieved that qualification, that award. But yeah, this is a physical certificate for you to take away with you.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question very quickly, Kieran. For those who have already about to complete or would like to do an MBA,
sure,
would that be completing a short business courses, would that exempt an elective for MBA?
Oh, that's a great question. I think what the best advice I could give is when you're applying for an MBA, just tell them everything. Tell them everything you've already completed. There can be some instances where it may qualify you for a discount from an elective. It can vary according to course. My best advice would be to say to the MBA team, look, here's what I've already completed, because they'll do a recognition of your prior learning. And if something qualifies to say, actually, I've done this course on data and AI, then you may be qualified for an exemption, but you have to declare it at the time. What I'm hearing there is if you're thinking about an MBA, I'd encourage you to look at the MBA route first. Always go and have a conversation about MBA first. Okay, and then secondly, if you're doing these and you do 2 or 3 short courses, absolutely get in touch with the MBA application team, because while I can't speak for them, everybody is different. It may qualify you for an exemption, but it also it may not. It depends on the individual.
Thank you, Kieran. Just one last question. Could you elaborate on the leadership development program and how it's different from the rest of the courses? Is it 5 days, right?
Yeah, I can. So if you're looking through those 16 courses and you're thinking, this is great, but what I need is something a bit more, I need a little bit of everything. I can't do all of them. Then the 5-day leadership course gives you exactly that. It's a curated leadership program. So the other courses look at a specific program area, data and AI, customer journey, et cetera, et cetera. What the Manchester Leadership Development Program is what it says it is. It's a leadership development program in 5 days. If you are thinking about moving on to the next level, or you've just been promoted and you realize some of the skills that you had that got you promoted aren't the skills that you need now at this new level, 5-day leadership course, absolutely the right move. It looks at your leadership style. You get another psychometric, more detailed, just looking at your leadership preferences, motivations, and also your areas that you need to develop. It looks at leading teams and leading organizations. It looks at finance, profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flow statement, and what's going on there. It looks at strategy and innovation. How do you build a strategic plan and what does innovation look like? And it looks at project delivery, project management in 5 days. Now, in each of those areas, you could go on one of the other short courses and do a really deep dive for 4 days. What the 5-day program gives you is a nice curated content where you complete the course. You can actually have an option for a CMI qualification. That's the Chartered Management Institute. So you complete the course, do a short piece of written work, 2,500 words. What did I learn? How did I apply it? What happened? You could qualify for a CMI award in addition to a certificate of completion. And also there's an option for coaching. You could receive 3 months of executive coaching. So that's one session of an hour every 3 months after the course is finished to look at your leadership style, or to look at a change you tried to implement and you're having difficulty, or really just that sort of safe space where as a manager, you can talk to somebody completely confidentially. You can talk about the things that are worrying you or the areas that you need to develop. but it's completely confidential. So the 5 days program, great question, Noman. Yes, it does start on a Monday. We've actually got a course running next week where we're overlapping. We've got some short courses running Tuesday to Friday. We've got the 5-day course running Monday to Friday, and they're all going out for dinner on the Thursday. There you go.
Yeah, that's kind of fun, huh?
It is.
Thanks for that. All right, there you have it. For more information, you can always reach to us. You can scan this QR code you can see on your screen. You can ask questions as well for any kind of information for short business courses on the left. And to reach and chat with a program counselor like us, you can always scan this one. We also want to encourage you to follow us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn for more information. Also, if you get to have time, you can always also leave us a Google review, if you may, for more information, for any kind of feedback towards our services. Kieran, any parting words, sir, to our guest?
We look forward to seeing you in Manchester. Come on back to us. If you're alumni, come on back to us. If you're not, I'd look forward to welcome you to Manchester for the very first time. And thank you to the team in Dubai for putting on this event. And if you're watching this separately, asynchronously, you couldn't attend, I'm sorry you couldn't join us, get in touch with the team. They'll be very happy to answer any of the questions and help you propel yourself forward in your career.
Thank you, Kieran. It's an absolute pleasure, Kieran. Thank you so much for your time. And we will see you again next time for more of these, of course. And for all of you watching here tonight, thank you so much for your time. Please take care on the way home. If you're already home, please have a fantastic evening ahead of you. Until then, have a great evening. Masalama, everybody. Goodbye.
Well done, Joseph. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Noman.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, buddy. See you soon, man.